Well, I'd say two things. I'd challenge the premise that there is much of a middle class anymore. It's have and have nots. It's the haves and have nots. If you didn't come up with that artist or successful writers, it's tough, man. So the middle class has shrunk.
It's really hard, actually. You're I'm constantly going out. I go out 5 nights a week to look, to shake hands and remind people that I still live here. I've been fortunate with the Jody Messina gig because I got that, and we work 40 to 50 days a year. She's had 9 number 1s, sold a bunch of records, and we work every year, and she's really active at keeping her career going. Uh, so I've been fortunate. I have friends who I've grown up with and grew up with musically who are now like working at Home Depot, you know, and they were actually in cooler gigs when they started. They were the guys I was looking at being like, man, when I'm like you, I'm gonna buy a nice house, and now I'm like, or work at Home Depot.
Well, yeah, I mean, every year I have a new deal that comes up, and you know, I I start. I mean, just as probably partly my personality, but like as soon as I get renewed for a new deal, I see that clock start ticking, and it's like, okay, it's 11 months and 31 days, 11 months and 29 days, 11 months, and a typical writing deal, it ends like a month before it like your first month has been paid. So like when you start a deal, you've already 1 month in. You have the luxury of getting a multiple year deal guaranteed. It's 1 year at a time. And so I've been for the last 16 years living 1 year at a time.
Well, it's different than when I first got into producing. A major label literally sent me a checkbook, a big book of checks, and said, "Go make a record and go hire who you want to hire." But I was still so nervous about this process that I would reach out to them and say, "Well, this is going to cost. Just go make the record. We've heard the demos that you did. Go make the record." And that's the first record I ever produced. Uh, but it's changed since then. Obviously, records don't sell like they used to, and I'm being master of the obvious here. It's a different industry than it was.
Before piracy, before streaming, before the industry shrank like this, singles came out every 12 to 20 weeks. There was an album every year. And albums sold lots of copies. There were this many albums that were gold or platinum. Now there's this many. So you could get paid on the album cuts. Then, as the numbers shrank, the publishers had fewer spots. By, we've lost 80% of those spots.
It's, a song getting cut these days is like winning the lottery and getting struck by lightning on the same day. It really is. I mean, because the odds are stacked against you.
I still really love music, which is kind of rare. Because after you do it for a while, there's a lot of people that are just bitter because it's like any job. But at the end of the day, if you're kind of willing to live broke and, not like I never had the desire to have like a huge house and a fancy car, and I had the desire to play music.
It's a miserable business full of miserable people, and yet, it's like the old joke: the guy's shoveling shit at the circus, and he's throwing it in the wheelbarrow, and someone's like, "Why don't you get another job?" And he said, "What? And leave show business?" It's one of those kind of things. It's like, what else are we going to do?